I hope you can hear me all fine. So we have a lovely session today. So with the two companies presenting. So we have FreeNow and another is not really a company, but Municipality of The Hague. So we will let them share the stories about their usage and of Tableau. So in the first part, we have Leonardo Zagari Thijs Bongertman, so from FreeNow. And after their part, we have Leen Besseling from the Municipality of The Hague, like I mentioned. So Leonardo is an operations analyst at FreeNow. So he's supporting local and central operation teams. I think we can see his story later with more details. And we have Thijs, and Thijs is operating the FreeNow. So he started as a company, as I understood, and well, he's a Dutch, but moved to the Germany a few years back, I guess. And then we have Leen. So Leen is living in the Netherlands, so in Sassenheim, and well, he's I think driving the Tableau, advertising Tableau, and kind of ambassador of Tableau in the Municipality of The Hague. Okay, guys, if you want to introduce yourself with more details, feel free.
So we'll hand over to Thijs.
Yes, thanks a lot. So I can do this in Dutch, but then Leo wouldn't have any clue what I'm talking about. So we'll do it in English for now. Yeah, thanks, Kirill, for introducing me shortly. I'm joined by Leo today, or Leonardo in full, who is an operations analyst at FreeNow and basically the main driver on measuring our green pledge and making sure that all of our local markets have the move to electric vehicles in mind. I'm currently leading the marketing analytics team after spending most of my career in the Netherlands, and we work together closely to make sure this happens in a, would say, efficient manner. So we received 25 minutes to talk. So I'm first going to give you a quick introduction in the company, since I am pretty sure that no one in the Netherlands knows FreeNow, or at least not a lot of people who haven't gone on holiday to a country where we're active in. Then I'm going to talk a couple of minutes about the structure that we have in the back end to make sure that the ways that we apply Tableau in our day-to-day business is efficient and performant, and also make sure that the business actually uses Tableau to the full extent. And then Leo will talk about how he created, I would say, a super cool report based on this data structure, which currently helps the business to make quite important decisions, I would say. So quick introduction in FreeNow. Awesome animations in our template. However, yeah, FreeNow is one of Europe's leading ride-hailing apps. So in the Netherlands, you have Uber, and we are competing heavily with Uber in most of the European countries we're active in. We have a base of 14 million passengers in over 100 cities. And since 2019, yeah, our main stakeholders are BMW and Daimler. We were founded in June 2009 as a pure taxi ride-hailing business. So you could only use our platform to request the traditional taxis that you see driving around everywhere. And since then, we've evolved to also include the private hire vehicles, scooters, mopeds, in the Netherlands, you have Felix. In Germany and the other countries, you have a lot of different providers, and you can now book all of them on our platform. The HQ is based in Hamburg. Leo and I currently are also based in Hamburg, but yeah, with the whole pandemic ongoing, we now also hire remotely. Hint, hint. We're active in 11 different countries, 26 different offices, and we currently have 1,000 employees, but we're still hiring. So our strategic vision is that we want to be the first mobility platform in Europe to become net zero in 2030, meaning that we really want to move away from having like the diesel taxis, etc., and really move towards either offsetting this through e-scooters and mopeds, or electric vehicles for all of the taxi rides. We're currently on our way to become net zero, but we're definitely not there yet, which is the reason why we from the data department created an initiative to make sure that this happens faster. The question is, how can we make sure that our reporting stack is handling the huge amounts of data we generate on a daily basis in a proper way? This was, I would say, quite a long process, since Tableau is quite easy to connect to a data warehouse, but then difficult to make efficient, so to say, without either waiting for a very long time or pulling gigabytes of data into your Tableau report, which makes adjusting it quite hard. So we were looking for a solution that is both reliable and performant. It's easy to use for the end user, so to say. The heavy lifting needs to be done by the data department and not by the business. We want to make sure it's maintainable, and ideally we create one solution which can be applied to many situations. It's kind of a requirement list, I would say, but we are onto the path to the correct solution. And how do we do this? So within FreeNow, I don't have it on the top of my head, but I think at least 100 requests per second. So people requesting a ride through our platform, and there's a lot more event data connected to that. So we have 3 different data streams at the moment, which is the daily batch data. This is the most complete data set with a lot of dimensions, metrics, etc. This is terabytes and terabytes of data per day. Near real-time data, which is up to date on the 30-minute ratio. So we update this data every 30 minutes. This is a smaller data set, more high level, so not a lot of details, but make sure that we can keep track of our first prio KPIs in a proper way. Both are processed by Apache Airflow, which is just an ETL engine, and it's kind of reliable, I would say. We also have a real-time data stream using Apache Kafka streams. But as you might know from your experience in the data world, this is just pure event data, raw data, not cleaned, could have duplicates, etc., etc., etc. So using this for business critical reports, doesn't make sense, but it can give us insights on how our fleet is performing on a real-time basis. Then we have a secondary ETL, which aggregates and consolidates all of the data, which results in Tableau data sources, business critical reports, and or live questions based on the real-time data. What we try to do with this entire process is make sure that most of the heavy data lifting is done in this phase, and using Tableau to create the calculated metrics, to create high-performing visualizations, and to make sure that the data we generate is usable to create insights for the business. We could also put all of this inside Tableau. Don't know if you ever try to do this, but it will take a very long time and it will only frustrate you and then throw an error message. So this is the way we try to circumvent performance issues. And one real life example connected to what Leo is going to present in a couple of minutes. So we were having a problem with monitoring our green pledge, and that is for monitoring the impact on the environment that our platform has. We need to know details about the cars that our drivers are using. And then more specifically about the engine types. This was quite hard, I would say, because it's not a mandatory field for a driver or a driver company that they have to fill in during their registration. So we had to derive all of these engine types in one way or another. Joshua Beasley, also part of the local data department in the UK, came up with quite a good solution, which made the data much more complete. So we started with 200,000 cars without having an engine type, which he brought down to 165 by using a free API. Then he did some Sherlock Holmesing by deducing model engine combinations for all of the car types that only have one engine type connected to it, like the Toyota Prius, for example. It's a pure hybrid car, which brought it down to 116K. Then the Irish government was so nice to provide us with all of the data on the Irish vehicles that we have. And finally, we brought the open engine types down to 65,000 via a paid API. These 65,000 engine types are, and Leo, correct me if I'm wrong, in the meantime completed by all of the local markets, but in a manual way. Which brings us to his patented approach on which in which we assess a bunch of problems in our day-to-day business. It's the brute force and ignorance method. So first we identify a problem, come up with an easy solution, try it out, then see if it's done, and if not, then redo the whole process. And this is essentially how we enabled the report that Leo will be showing in this live demo in just a couple of weeks. So I hand over to Leonardo now.
So hello everyone. I'm now going through a live demo of the first steps that we took in terms of Tableau reporting. I will use random data, so I'm not gonna focus on actually the percentages and the share, because there is a parameter that mix all the data, but I'm gonna focus more on the functionalities of Tableau and how they have been used by decision makers to drive the business in this zero emission initiative. So the first step, of course, in this massive strategic move was to understand where we stand. And as Thijs said, there was at the beginning a massive work on data cleaning, understanding the engine types of our fleet. Of course, FreeNow is a ride-hailing company, and we have drivers which are partner, and they, drive different vehicles. And we needed to understand what kind of vehicles and in which market, which were the share of different engine types. So to do so, this is the first report that we built, and was to allow stakeholders to have an overview on our top 15 cities in Europe in terms of rides. So where we stand in our top cities, which are the share. So of course, on the top, there are some filters like in every Tableau dashboard, and then there is this map. And here Tableau becomes very handy because, as we said, like in terms of data, it has been very, very complicated to get those engine types. And now Tableau is super handy to actually visualize with one click two different things. On the top part, of course, like the distribution of rides for different engine types. So we have diesel, petrol, hybrid, electric, plug-in hybrid, range extended electric, gas, and with, of course, the absolute numbers. And below, we did already a first level of analysis to see which was the performance of those engine types. So especially focusing, of course, on eco vehicles. So let me just show you how the dashboard works. The idea is that this is a one-click dashboard. So we just realized that in London, there's a big number of tours. We want to look at London, and thanks to the actions in Tableau, we can immediately shift the dashboard on a focus. And here, of course, again, we have the numbers, but then we build this demand and supply thermometer to see actually how demand and supply was working in this market. And if we look at PHV Eco, like we can see that a small percentage of passengers are now asking for an eco cab, and this of course is also related to the product and how the option for the passenger is located. And we can see that there's a lack of supply. So immediately with one click, we already have an insight and we already know where to take actions. And here on the right, you can see main KPIs to have a distinction between like the benchmark, so the average of the top 15 cities, where very often the other fleet types have a better performance compared to the eco ones. And then the focus on the single city, in this case, London, that we selected. And we can see that compared to the benchmark, London, with this column difference, has a better performance. So like here, Tableau really with one click allowed us to visualize different cities and very quickly make sense of the data. Then the second step was, of course, like this was focused on top 15 cities, and then we realized the same analysis. And again, very easy just to switch a calculated field and a filter and having the same analysis on a country level. And this was very helpful for general managers to understand where they should have put more effort, which was their share of electric vehicles. And again, what we try to do is to make it very, very easy, immediate, in order for them to take decisions and drive this change. That, of course, requires information and a lot of effort. So after this really first level of understanding of our cities, top cities, and our markets, step 2 was to realize, all right, we want to move to zero emissions, and we are a two-side marketplace. So how do we do that? the first step is, of course, to focus on supply, because if we have cars that are polluting and for driver it's too expensive to buy an electric car, then this is not gonna be then driving demand that maybe is gonna require a vehicle which is not available. So the second step was to focus on supply, and we develop a dashboard. Again, on the top part, we have main filters where we can select by country, city, and then we started to analyze supply KPIs. So trying to understand percentages in terms of electric drivers that drive an electric car, and all the different engine types. And below we have like a list of cars, and this was actually really helpful because, of course, if you have a fleet of cars, you need to understand which are the favorite car models in the different engine type categories. And here you can see top electric car, and we realized, for example, that Nissan Leaf is the most used by our drivers. And this has been fundamental for decision makers to go to Nissan and say, look, we want our driver to use more electric vehicles. Can we do a partnership? And this, combined with reduction of cost for drivers in charging their vehicle, is one of many initiatives to actually stimulate drivers to switch maybe from a Toyota Prius to a Nissan Leaf Zoe. And again, here Tableau was fundamental, because with just one click, we could have a compressed version of this overview on the different engine types. Or if we want to go more granular, we can just expand and really see, for example, we have Tesla at 4%, and really go deeper inside the database. But again, with a very easy and intuitive way. On the right, we just realize a sort of funnel, a graph that show the onboarding on new cars. Again, here data are not accurate, are just randomized, but again, month by month, these allow the decision makers and the business to understand if we are achieving this change, which is massive, or if there are some problems. And based on those data, then we can take action day by day. Of course, it's a very difficult and complicated process, but Tableau has been really fundamental for us to see where we stand and see what we can do to achieve this change. So thank you very much. And of course, if there are visualization or functionalities that you are interested in, you can ask now or reach out on LinkedIn later. And Thijs and myself, we're gonna be super happy to share calculated field and way to get there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Thijs. Quite nice story. So maybe Thijs, because we still have a bit of time for you, maybe you can share some more technical details about the challenges you have, maybe from other projects that would be resonating in the attendees. So all struggles, and also you mentioned your patented way of taking the projects. So maybe you can also highlight some few words about this.
Yeah, so this patented way of dealing with our problems is well, it's widely accepted in the company to just well, it's actually based on this whole lean startup thing. So fail fast and fail cheap. So whenever we find a problem, we try to get the initial insights or the initial hypotheses proven as fast as possible. And it doesn't always have to be perfect, but it needs to give a good direction in where we should be looking in the future. Also with the data products that we are creating, it's also how we approach these Tableau reports. So first we start with a high-level overview, like Leo showed on the country-specific level, which more often than not is very ugly, but it gives us at least some feedback from our stakeholders and the business on how we should be improving the report. And then iteration by iteration, we make it more complete, make it more insightful, and really provide a product that helps the business on a day-to-day basis. Some other challenges that we have are mainly focused on the marketplace structure and nature of the app, and the let's say market challenges that we have. So we are in a constant struggle and competition with Uber and other large companies for a piece of the ride-hailing market. And this gives challenges that vary on a day-to-day basis. So what we recently struggled with, well, not struggled with, but achieved, and that was Leo and I, is to create an hourly granular level of insights on the 25 most important company KPIs. So we have one team which is only focused on creating a marketplace balance. So for example, if we have too much supply, then our drivers will walk away because we can't provide them with income. If we have too much demand, then our prices will become so high that passengers will walk away, don't return to the platform, and just use a competitor. So they are really focused on this balance. And we have a set of KPIs that really gives a good insight into the different factors of everything that influences this balance. But the data behind those KPIs is quite complicated. So previously, how this was used by this team, it's the marketplace performance team. They had a set of spreadsheets, and I think 10 to 13 different tables that were constructed in 10 to 13 different workbooks that they had to extract, then put in the spreadsheets, then create some heat maps, and then only then they could go forward into really nitpicking the data on, for example, how our fleet in Paris performed on a Friday morning during the morning commute, for example. So they could only start the actual analysis and insights around 1 or 2 p.m. in the afternoon. But the data behind these heat maps was and is quite complicated. So we spent, I think, 3 to 4 months constructing the initial data set, then bug fixing everything so that the values match all of the company metrics that we have, which also took a lot of time, and Leo knows what I'm talking about because it was very, very frustrating from time to time. But now, since I think 2 months, we delivered a product which is used in Tableau, also created by Leo, which has these heat maps, all of the heat maps they were used to having and more. So there are even more KPIs included, ready to use by 10 a.m. in the morning, which makes sure that decisions during the day based on the data of yesterday really have an impact, instead of basing your decisions and implementing them at 5 p.m. in the afternoon. And yeah, that's our main struggle now. Apart from the fact, that Leo is really knowledge sharing how to make beautiful Tableau reports, because that's not a skill that everyone has.
Maybe last question, and then it will be, I think, a nice segue for Leen. How do you track the adoption and like wow effects of moving from Excel to Tableau? So how the users are appreciating, so also the training part in it, so how you manage that?
Yeah, basically, once we deliver, we start with the education sessions. And then, of course, everyone promises to start using the reports because that's how it works in a business. Luckily, we also have a different team within business analytics. So both Leo and I are part of business analytics that has the expertise to set up monitoring for everything that's happening in Tableau. So we can directly see how our reports are being adopted, which are the most used reports if they are getting called, so to say. And if they are, then it's on me to have a very serious conversation with our stakeholders on why they let us spend hours and hours without them using it. But we have a lot of monitoring in place after the initial education phase.
All right, sounds good.
Perfect. Yes.
Well, thanks a lot, guys. Let's move to our next presenter. So, Leen, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Great conversation by Leonardo and Thijs. Huge congrats to you guys. My name is Leen Besseling from the Netherlands, and I work for the municipality of Den Haag. And today I will tell you about a course me and my colleague Arun Rampersad and I created. Originally, it is created for students of the Faculty of Applied Science from Den Haag. So students from there can enroll for an internship at the municipality of Den Haag. And the school asked us to make a course for the students because actionable insights was not used in the course yet. So that's why we created it. And a bit of context information at the municipality of Den Haag. We are always a bit behind on everything. So 3 years ago, we just worked in Excel. That was our main thing. And 3 years ago, I didn't even work as an analyst. I was a consultant at the youth domain. I'm now an analyst for the youth domain. So we moved from Excel to Tableau, and a lot of colleagues adapted it, but still some prefer Excel. So it's been a difficult time to get it started for everyone. But as we use it more and more, we can see more enthusiasm for it. And now I'm going to share my screen for the presentation. It's on the course of actionable insight. And as I said, we're usually a bit behind. So when I work in the youth domain for the CEOs, for managers, for political advisors. And if a colleague got asked a question, this was something they tend to deliver, just an Excel graph with numbers overlaying, so you can't even see what's happening. So it's pretty bad. And in 3 years, we've grown a lot, but it came with a lot of education. And that is what this course is about. So we created a course about actionable insights, and I try to teach my colleagues how to use that in their work, because we have a department of BA and we have the department of BI. And business intelligence is the department who works with Cognos for the structural information for managers. And we use Tableau more for the live questions, like Thijs so beautifully showed in their company, the difference between.
Leen,
so
just quickly, you are not sharing your screen yet, I think.
Oh, am I now?
Yes.
Yes, all right. I will show you, there was the graph where I was talking about, which they tend to deliver. And this is what we try to learn them with the course. So you see here a graph with 2 lines, and it's about ticket volume and a timeline. You see, we implemented a line when 2 employees quit, and you see we could nearly keep up with the tickets. And then suddenly the tickets grew more than we could process. So the advice was to hire 2 FTE to keep up with the received tickets. So it's a lot different than we show here in Ticket Trend. There's a story, there's some advice, please approve the hire. So there's a lot of things happening here. This was a big change for the analysts at the Municipality of Den Haag. So the rules of an actionable insight is that it has to be valuable, it has to be relevant, practical, specific, concrete, and contextualized. And why visualization is important. A lot of analysts at Den Haag just delivered tables of information. So it was really hard for managers to extract information, to extract a decision from it. So when you have Anscombe's quartet, you see that there are different tables of information. They look alike a bit, but when you use visualization, you can see that they're actually quite different. So that's where we're hammering about visualization now. Some examples of what we used to deliver. So here you see some categories and some city parts, and we have really no idea what's happening here. You can't even see what numbers there are here because these ones are so high in this bar chart. So really difficult. Same for this management for a year report. They would just ask, give us some nice a visual, and then they tend to come up with something like this, which has nothing as well. So another example, stack bars can be good, but in this case, it provides a bit of information, but it's not ideal. So we try to educate the students and our colleagues about how they can use visualizations to show the manager what you want them to see. And one aspect that comes with it is also don't lie with data. You see 2 axes and one is not so close, so it looks like there's no difference at all. And here the axis is a bit smaller and it tend to look like a huge difference. Newspapers use this a lot, actually. Then there were people who like to deliver some pie charts and in 3D as well. But when you look at it, it's about 1/4 of labor versus 3/4 of other. But when you turn it, it looks like more like 1/3. So it's really difficult to process that information. And for a manager, it should be not so difficult to extract. And what we use now and what we hammer on about in the course is that we in Tableau can use pre-attentive processing to our advantage. And I would gladly ask you to search for the amount of 5s in this number visual. And you see it's pretty hard. You have to look every line for a 5. And in Tableau, you can easily use color to your advantage to point it out more. So you can show people what you want to work with. Same goes for not only color, but also for length, width, orientation, size, shape. Size and shape is something I use in scatter plots a lot. Enclosure, position, grouping, color hue, as we saw earlier, and color intensity. So we try to use pre-attentive processing to our advantage here. Another part highlighted in the course is storytelling. This is an example by Semmelweis. Semmelweis was a doctor who saw that childbed fever mortality rates would go down if they just washed their hands. And it took a long time. You see that childbed fever mortality rates were quite high. And when he introduced it mid-May, it dropped a lot. And eventually, strict controls were enforced to negligent students, and it dropped even more. Eventually, it got a bit up again. But the thing is, if you look at this table, there's no story at all. So for a manager, it's hugely difficult to extract information. And when you make a story about it, like with a timeline, with a graph, with some annotations, they can extract information more easily. Storytelling in Tableau is something I use a lot. Besides using sheets, besides using dashboards, I use the story mode a lot too for making presentations about my work. And it's always set up by the same thing. You set up an introduction, a background, an hypothesis. Then you have a rising action supporting your facts. And eventually, like a good story, it needs a climax, main insight, and eventually also a recommendation. So that's how character growth in films work, but it works also for stories in Tableau as well in other ways. And in this course, I can show you, we created, it's sadly only in Dutch. So if there are international people want to use this, we are thinking about it to make it in English as well. But for now, it's only in Dutch. So the students or my colleagues can just browse. They can enroll with only their email address and a password. We do nothing with the data, so they can, easily use it. And they start here at the entrance for a welcome by me and my colleague. Can I show my colleague? No, it's not here, no problem. But and we gradually expose them to more information. So we give them information about actionable insights and how do you deliver them. And then we tend to deliver the practicums for Tableau. The course isn't specifically bound to Tableau. You can use this principle with a lot of tools, but because Tableau shines in this creative process, we use Tableau as a tool and also in the practicums. And it goes all the way to formatting, storytelling, and it's just fun to watch. And I think a lot of colleagues and students use this. We gained a lot of great feedback about it. So I'm curious if some users that are listening now want to use it. If you have feedback, just email me. I'm very curious about what you think. And this is something in the course we try to learn. So there's a hypothesis that playground equipment has an effect on youth support law per city part. And the hypothesis was when there is more playground equipment, the support law tend to have less people we should have helped. Then we researched it. So with open data, I on XI coordinates, I showed all playground equipment in The Hague. I can filter it on city part. I can filter it on equipment group, so soccer goals or slides or just whatever. On material, age group. So that was a first research about it. Then we made, it's loading. It's a lot of data, so tends to load some time. But what we did is we looked at cumulative playground equipment we looked at users of youth support law per city part, and we looked at just people population under 19 in The Hague. And eventually we came to the conclusion that there was a positive correlation between playground equipment and youth law support, but we couldn't use it in our regression model for predicting youth law support. So we eventually saw through a research that it was just correlated between people growth and just the municipality placing playground equipment in city parks which tend to grow a lot. So these are some things we try to teach our students and our colleagues in the course. And yeah, it's a bit of the end of my story, really. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if there are questions, now's the time to ask. I'm trying to stop share. Yeah. All right.
Very good. Thanks. Thanks, Leen. It was very well. I quite like your presentation, especially the part for the visuals. So I don't think we have any questions in
Yeah, there is a question. And the question I see here is, did you run the regression mode in Tableau?
For this particular analysis, not, but I know the use for it, so it could have been done. Yeah.
Okay. And you create this course in your spare free time, I guess?
Yeah, sure. In my work time, I'm just an analyst for the municipality of The Hague, and yeah, what I love about the Tableau community is that you have a lot of YouTube films, you have a lot of forums where you can ask questions. And 3 years ago, as I said, I was a consultant in youth law in a city part, and then grew to being a data analyst. And the reason I grew to that is because of this community. And in my spare time, I tried to give something back because it has given me so much. So that's why this is my gift to the community as well.
Okay. And what is the kind of best actionable insight you created? That you created something and then you think, well, my boss or my colleagues did take action about this insight.
Yeah, it's actually on a lot of actionable insights. Beforehand, as I said, we used Excel and it were just insights. So we didn't always get to see what the board did with it. And when you advise them with an action, you tend to give some more feedback as well, what they've done with it, if they've taken the advice, and they're more eager to do something with it. So actually, when we use this way of making insights, I see a lot of my work. And one of the things springs to mind is visualization about transport in the Hague, and where I changed the policy. So I've discovered that 97% used the transport for normal use, and there were 3% was overusing it. And I could show that, and I could show the revenue they could get back from that. And that's why they used it as a policy now.
Okay. Well, there's a nice link to free now in transport. Probably you have a question as well, Thijs or Leonardo.
I would be really, really happy to check the course, and thank you very much for the presentation. So like afterwards, if you can share the link, would be
Yeah,
great.
sure. I think the link is also in my LinkedIn, but I also send it to Martin and Kirill. So I hope you guys can provide everyone who is interested in it.
Thank you very much, Leen, for the great presentation.
Okay, perfect. Well, I do not see any other questions popping in at the moment in the Q&A. So people can use the Q&A, of course, to ask something or give their rewards to the presenters, of course. That's also good to read. Kirill, probably you have a question.
Yeah, well, question on my side, do you have other municipalities interested in that? It seems to be really like a best practice, you know.
Sorry, Kirill, my cat tried to escape. What did you say?
I see her now on the vensterbank.
Yeah.
Well, the question is like, do you see some other municipalities interested in Tableau? So is it like a little becoming more common? Because I think it's an amazing tool. And do you have like a sharing session with other municipalities?
It's getting more common. I think municipality of Amsterdam uses it. Utrecht, I think Nijmegen uses it as well. But we all tend to make Tableau Creator our main thing. And what I have as a vision is that we use Tableau Server as well, where I can communicate more with my clients, communicate more with my colleagues, use the feedback on there to make better insights. So because it's sometimes hard to share it with clients or with colleagues what you've made.
Yeah, clearly.
These forms.
So we need to connect other municipalities in our Tableau user group, so then we can.
Yeah, there are big users as well. And last time I spoke with Utrecht, and they use Tableau Server as well. So they're quite fun on it as well. Yeah, happy users.
Yeah, I think in general we are missing, this live event with this Corona story. So when we had a chance to see each other face to face, and obviously that's making a little bit sharing more difficult. I mean, online is good; it's always good as a lunch break. I think a lot of people appreciating it, and even your cat.
Yeah, he appreciates it as well.
But, definitely something that we need to. Hopefully, this Corona story is getting a little bit more easy, and we can get all of us together in one room. Well, not a lot of question on my side. Jim, other guys, so well, feel free to raise your hands. We can. Well, a lot of people are saying that thanks. Well, indeed, it was a great session. So Martin, maybe you can share the slides so we can just wrap it up. And well, thanks a lot, guys. Leen, Thijs, and Leo.
No problem, of course.
It was a pleasure.
Thanks. Yeah. So well, as usual, we are interested in to hear your story and also to potentially host. I think we are targeting next event in September. So we'll try to do it in a hybrid mode. So meaning that we'll definitely try to find a place, host people, but also we'll try to broadcast for those who are still stuck at home. So once again, if you're interested in sharing your story, get back to us. So with this email address, and we would love to host you. And today, just as a reminder, so we had Martin as a co-host and myself, and together with Jim. So always yours, Tableau user group representatives. Thanks a lot.
Thank you guys too for hosting.
Yeah, and thanks Thijs and Leonardo and Leen, of course, as well. Great stories.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Anytime you have a question, feel free to come back to us, and I guess we'll be sharing these presentations and well, the link to the recording as well, if you want to share with your friends, colleagues, feel free to do it.
Yes. Okay. So, see you next time.
See you next time all, and take care.